It has been one day since the tragic mass shooting in Minneapolis, and the nation is in shock, mourning, processing, outraged, and demanding answers. And currently trending on social media is a video of an MSNBC anchor having an emotional moment while reporting on the story, followed by a powerful call to action, and I have it all for you next. The anchor I'm speaking of is Psaki, the one-time White House staffer who served under Barack Obama and Joe Biden, and is mother of 2 school-aged children. Let's pick it up as she reports on a community vigil as we build towards her raw moment and plea.
It's been a very difficult day, I think, for everybody watching, for me too. We are bringing to you right now the scene inside the Academy of Holy Angels High School gym in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where the community has shown up in droves to mourn. They had to add seats in the community. This was around an event that happened just this morning, and they're there to honor the lives of the 2 children tragically killed, as well as the many injured in today's horrific mass shooting at Annunciation Catholic School. This is one of several prayer vigils and services that are taking place across the Twin Cities tonight as the whole state comes together to grieve this senseless loss. Now, Monday, and I know many people watching, maybe their kids, maybe your grandkids have experienced this week. Monday was the first day back at school for the children at Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So today at 8:15 this morning, all of the school students filled the pews of the school's church for the first Mass of the year, something that is very much a tradition at Catholic schools, and certainly this one.
Next, she describes the very grim circumstances from inside the church, and viewer discretion is advised, especially if young ones are listening nearby.
Just before 8:30, the first 911 calls started coming in. A shooter had begun firing into the church from outside of the building. Firing through the church's stained glass windows, police say the doors of the church appear to have been barricaded from the outside with 2x4 wood planks, trapping everyone inside. Accounts have varied on whether the gunfire lasted 45 seconds or 2 minutes, and there's a lot of things that we are still learning. But all of the reports describe steady gunfire consistent with a semi-automatic weapon. As one parent who was sitting in the back of the church at the time told the Minnesota Star Tribune, the shooter just pepper sprayed through the stained glass windows into the building, 50 to 100 shots. Without anywhere to run, nowhere to go, the children and adults inside the church ducked under their pews. That's what they were forced to do. A 25-year-old youth minister told the New York Times today that she was just feet away from the window and that she believes that the pew in the church actually saved her life. And she put it this way: there was a hole and the bullets come in, ricocheting off of stuff. Kids were shot. It was horrifying. A mother of an 8th grader who was in the church at the same time said that her son thought it was fireworks or a gas explosion until he started to see people falling. The grandmother of another child in the church said her grandson described the scene as boom, boom, boom. She said that a girl next to him got hit in the head. He saw flesh fly, and he himself was shot in the stomach.
After that, she shared eyewitness accounts from the scene and from the hospital, and this is the moment that it got really real for her as a mother. Have a look at her raw moment and then her emotional call to action.
I have been thinking, as I'm sure everybody who has consumed this today has been doing as well, about my kids who happen to be about the same ages as the 2 who were killed, about sending them off to school this morning. I've been thinking about their friends and their teachers, about all the parents, about all the grandparents out there navigating the return to school. And all they should be hoping to do is have someone to sit with at lunch or someone to play with on the playground. And they should be waiting to hear an update when they get home. And that is not what these parents at this school experienced today. Sorry, this is a tough one. Having your child killed while they are sitting in a pew for a morning prayer service is not what any parent should have to worry about. And I have felt a mixture of anger and a lot of anger and emotional exhaustion about this today, as I'm sure many of you have, because we have been here so many times. And yet again, like clockwork, half of the politicians in our country have little more to offer than thoughts and prayers. That is all they are offering. Join all of us in praying for the victims, was Vice President J.D. Vance's response today. That's what he said. That's it. Please join me in praying for everyone involved, Trump wrote. We have seen this play out over and over again. There is a shooting, then come the thoughts and prayers, and then comes the attempt to shift the focus. This is what always happens. You're going to start seeing narratives. You're already seeing them. They're already out there. about how the shooter was trans. You're going to see narratives about how the shooter appeared to be anti-Trump and anti-Semitic, and clearly was in the midst of a mental health crisis. There's no question about that. But here's the thing. There are trans people all over the world. There are anti-Semitic people, unfortunately, all over the world, and people filled with plenty of political hate all over the world. And mental health issues are not unique to the United States, and yes, we should do more to address them, but it's also an issue all over the world. But this is the only country where shootings like this one happen this often. The United States not only has the highest rate of gun violence of any country in the world, it's become a leading cause of death for young people and teenagers in this country. That should make everybody angry. Weaponizing the shooter's identity is meant to distract from what matters. That is what they are doing, trying to distract from what matters. Here's what matters. Today's shooter bought the rifle, handgun, and shotgun they used to do what they did today legally. We live in a country with more guns than people, where there are not universal background checks, there are not bans on assault weapons, and it is far too easy to buy a gun. It's the guns, everyone. It's not really a secret. There are a lot of things to feel outraged about right now, and I really try hard not to be a constant driver of rip your hair out outrage here. But I hope this is something that you feel moved to do something about. It's not just about today, and today was an absolute tragedy. This is a never-ending cycle that doesn't seem to stop. But here's the thing. Anger can turn into activism. I know this from my years working in politics. Activism can turn into pressure on elected officials, and that pressure can change laws. It's not hopeless at all, as much as this is upsetting to me, and I'm sure many of you. It is possible. I mean, just look to the events of 3 years ago. On May 14, 2022, and I know we all remember this quite well, and probably it sat with us in the same way, a white supremacist committed a mass shooting at a supermarket in a predominantly black neighborhood in Buffalo, New York. 10 people were killed and 3 were injured. 10 days later, on May 24, 2022, a gunman killed 19 children and 2 teachers at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, and I think a lot of us remember where we were when we heard that news. There were plenty of thoughts and prayers and diversions then, too. That's what they did then, too. There was a whole discourse about, quote, hardening the doors. Do you remember that? As if doors were the reason we kept having mass shootings. It's not about the doors. But the people of Buffalo and Uvalde and the rest of the United States did not let politicians get away with it. Weeks after those shootings, parents and family members of victims made the trek to D.C. to lobby Congress in person. They testified before both the House and the Senate, demanding Congress actually do something about guns in this country. The mother of one Buffalo shooting victim told Congress, if after hearing from me and the other people testifying here today does not move you to act on gun laws, I invite you to my home to help me to clean Zair's wounds so that you may see up close the damage that has been caused to my son and my community. That's what she said. A few weeks after that, Congress passed a bill. There was a journey there to get to the bill, but it was called the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, and the bill expanded the background check system for gun buyers under the age of 21. It toughened laws against trafficking guns and the practice of having someone buy a gun for someone else, also known as straw purchasing. It set aside funding for state law enforcement to be able to actually enforce red flag laws. It closed what was known as the boyfriend loophole, expanding the ban that kept domestic abusers from buying firearms to recent dating partners rather than just spouses. Of course, that should have been the law. It wasn't perfect, this bill. It wasn't. It wasn't everything Democrats wanted, but it was something. And on June 25th of 2022, President Biden signed that bill into law. It was just 42 days after the mass shooting in Buffalo. Lawmakers in this country were actually able to do something about our nation's gun problem for the first time in several decades. Now, clearly, our nation's gun laws are not enough. But that means that if politicians actually want to do something to stop these shootings, there is a lot left for them to do. But thoughts and prayers alone are not going to cut it.
Psaki's raw emotion cuts through the noise in a way that numbers and political talking points simply can't. When she speaks as a mother of 2, she is representing what every parent in America fears that day the unthinkable happens in their school or church. Her exhaustion is the exhaustion of millions of mothers who are sick of seeing these headlines, sick of hearing the same hollow thoughts and prayers, and sick of politicians refusing to act. And she is right to call it out. The gun lobby and its Republican allies always look for an escape hatch, blaming the shooter's mental health or identity, or leaning into another deflection. But the rest of the world has the same issues without the mass shootings at scale. The common denominator is the guns and our gun culture, and our politicians' cowardice in the face of the gun industry's money and power. But as she pointed out, there is precedent for political pressure forcing change. It shouldn't take grieving parents burying their pain before Congress for lawmakers to do their jobs, but that's where we are. Meanwhile, Psaki's raw emotion was just not reporting. It was a call to conscience, a call to courage, and a call to doing the right thing. And the question is, will we answer it? I'm Dan. Thanks for watching. Please leave your thoughts with a comment below, and let's continue to occupy democracy together.